Hello Dr. Devika, I'm Ahmed Sajid, and today the topic me and my groupmates will be presenting on is solar panels. So why do we need solar panels? As global warming continues to become more of a problem for every nation, many countries are seeking to find alternative ways to generate electricity that are not fossil fuel related. Because when fossil fuels are burned, they release toxic gases into the atmosphere, causing the greenhouse effect. Moreover, fossil fuels are non-renewable resources and require millions of years to be formed. Prime examples are coal, natural gas, and oil. Therefore, when most people think of alternative energy sources, they tend to use solar power as an example because the technology has evolved massively over the years and is now used for large scale energy production and power generation for single homes. Let us first know what solar power actually is. In simple terms, solar power is energy that is created by the sun and converted into usable energy that can provide electricity and heat. Solar energy is the cleanest form of energy and the most readily available anywhere in the world. To harness this energy, solar panels, are also known as photovoltaic panels, are used to convert light from the sun, which is composed of particles of energy called photons, into electricity. Solar technologies convert sunlight into electrical energy either through photovoltaic panels or through mirrors that concentrate solar radiation. This energy can be stored in batteries or thermal storage. The development of solar energy goes back more than 100 years. In the early days, solar energy was used primarily for the production of steam, which could then be used to drive machinery. But it wasn't until the discovery of the photovoltaic effect by Edmund Becquerel that would allow the conversion of sunlight solar electric energy. Becquerel's discovery then led to the invention in 1893 by Charles Fritts for the first genuine solar cell, which was formed by coating sheets of selenium with a thin layer of gold. And from this humble beginning would arise the device we all know today as solar panels. In today's world, solar panels can also be used for a wide variety of applications, including remote power systems for cabins, telecommunication equipments, remote sensing, and of course for the production of electricity by residential and commercial solar electric systems.
So how exactly do solar panels work? Is the sun actually transmitting some sort of wireless electricity to us? Or is the sun actually heating up the materials inside the solar panels to produce electricity? If these were the things that you were thinking about, I'm sorry to say, but they are all wrong. The Earth, as you all know, is revolving around the sun. Although we might not feel it, the Earth is actually being under attack by the sun's solar power. With that in mind, the Earth actually intercepts a lot of these solar powers, about 173,000 terawatts. That is approximately 10,000 times more power than what the planet's population uses. So is it perhaps possible that one day we are able to live in a world where we are completely reliant on solar energy? To answer that question, we first have to examine how solar panels convert solar energy into electrical energy. Solar panels are mainly made up of smaller units called solar cells. The most common solar cells are made from silicon, a semiconductor that is the second most abundant element on Earth. In a silicon cell, crystalline silicon is sandwiched between conductive layers. Each silicon atom is connected to its neighbors by the four strong bonds, which help keeps the electrons in place so no current can flow. Here's the catch. A silicon solar cell uses two different layers of silicon, an N-type silicon which has extra electrons and a P-type silicon which has extra spaces for electrons known as the hole. Where the two types of silicon meet, electrons can wander across the P-N junction, leaving a positive charge on one side and creating a negative charge on the other side. For example, think of light as the flow of tiny particles known as photons. Shooting out from the sun, when one of these photons strikes the silicon cell with enough energy, it can knock an electron out from its bond, leaving a hole. The negatively charged electron and location of the positively charged hole are now free to move. But because of the electric field at the P-N junction, they are only able to move in one direction. The electron is drawn to the N side while the hole is drawn to the P side. The mobile electrons are then collected by thin metal fingers at the top of the cell. From there, they flow through an external circuit doing electrical work like powering a light bulb before returning to the conductive aluminum sheet on the back. Each silicon cell only puts up half a volt, but you can string them together to form a module. With that, a module can produce more power. For example, 12 photovoltaic cells are enough to charge a cell phone, while it takes a lot more modules to power an entire house. And electrons are the only moving parts in the solar cell, and they are all able to go back to where they came from. There's nothing to be worn out or used up, and therefore would allow solar cells to last for a much longer time.
Let us discuss about the benefits of using solar energy. We know that by using solar energy, we will not produce any greenhouse gas. According to an article written by National Renewable Energy Laboratory, if we produce 1000 kilowatt hours of electricity using solar power, we can avoid the carbon dioxide emission by more than 1,400 pounds. If we continue to do this for another 28 years, then we will be able to avoid the emission of carbon dioxide by more than 100 tons. As of now, we know that thermoelectric plants consumes huge amount of water in order to cool down their equipment while generating electricity. The problem with that is that the heated water would make the water go bad and it will affect the quality of water, making it non-consumable for us, human, animal, and it will also damage the ecosystem. Now, by using solar energy, we wouldn't need any water to cool down any equipment because it is unnecessary. Therefore, by 2050, the US energy government projected that more than 1.3 million households can be supported with the safe water. Now let's talk about the next point. We know that we are currently depending on non-renewable energy such as fossil fuel in order to generate electricity. As you can see in the pie chart below, more than 50% of the electricity generated worldwide are depending on fossil fuel. Therefore, if we are able to use solar energy, we will greatly reduce the use of fossil fuel and it would also benefit the environment. Alright, let's quickly go through some of the disadvantages. So what happens when a solar panel reaches the end of its life? Would they dispose it or recycle it? A solar panel lasts for 25 years, so after 25 years, if they were to recycle it, then the cost will be high because the recycling cost is more than the economic value of the materials recovered. That is why most of the solar panels end up in a landfill. By disposing it into the landfill, toxic chemical can leach into the soil and contaminates the water supply. Now, the production of solar panels can also harm the environment, unfortunately. To create the panel, they will have to use sodium hydroxide, which is highly alkaline. It would increase the pH of the water, killing fish and harming the environment. And hydrofluoric acid will also contaminate the soil. As what Phoebe had mentioned, most of the solar cells uses silicon, and silanes is used to purify the silicon, while lead and cadmium is added to increase conductivity. Lead and cadmium can also contribute to water pollution. As seen in the picture below, the lead and cadmium is leaching into the water.
Hello, now I'm going to talk about the application of thermodynamics in solar panel. So literally I'm just going to go on the basics, which the applications. The first application is that it first follows the laws of thermodynamics, and I'm going to talk about the first and the second law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics, as we know, it states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to another. The solar panel does follow this rule as it converts solar energy to electric energy. How does it do that? as my fellow colleague has explained on how a solar panel works. So it actually all the solar rays that go through the solar panel will be converted to kinetic energy, and after kinetic energy they will be converted to electrical energy. As you can see, the energy is not destroyed or created, but it is being transformed from one form to another. So we got for the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the total entropy of a closed system can never decrease. As we know, a solar panel is a closed system. It's not an open system, so it operates within without except it operates within. And also, when we talk about the entropy, is that the value of the value entropy of a solar panel is that it always increases. As we know, entropy can never be destroyed, but it only can either be created or reduced. So by the solar panels, entropy is always increasing. It can either increase the entropy of the surrounding area. And when we talk about a closed system, as we know, solar panels is a closed system. And also the efficiency of the solar panel is not perfect, as it can be altered by the weather conditions and other conditions necessary. So by this, the efficiency of the solar panel is not 100%. It's actually less than that.
To conclude, I would like to point out the fact that the first world countries such as the United Kingdom and Australia are assisting their residents in installing solar panels in their houses and converting the solar energy into electricity. On the other hand, developing nations, sadly, such as Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, are unable to fully utilize solar panels due to the high initial cost of equipment and devices which are stopping people from using it. Therefore, governments all over the world should work together to assist developing nations so that the use of such technology becomes a worldwide success, perhaps aiding in the long-term fight against global warming. That's all for our part. Thank you.